and I met my husband. And so he has been an incredible blessing ever since then, as we've, made our way up by 35, I like to say, and ended up here in Kansas City. And the running joke back at my old station at KCTV5 was that I actually got the job in Dodge, despite the fact that when we sent out demo tapes back then, right, they were DVDs, and my demo tape didn't have any audio on it. But I still got a call because the news director at the time told me that they liked my enthusiasm and they thought that I would do really well out in Dodge City. So whatever that means, I'm not quite sure. Whether that's a shot in Stillwater, I don't know, but it was a really, really good first start. And I thought I was going to be able to play while I was in Dodge, and I made a couple flights back and decided that it wasn't going to be best for my new job or for the team for me to attempt to do that. So I called it quits. I retired from women's professional football, and I became, like most professional athletes, I became, a washed up broadcaster and fell in love with that side of things and telling those stories. And here I am today.
Tell me a little bit about the circumstances of meeting your husband.
So out in Dodge City, I had a friend who actually worked and ran a place called Tropical Fitness, and that's where I worked out at. And one night she told me that they needed another player for their co-rec softball team. They were in the playoffs, and they needed a girl. And I said, you know what? I'll get off work early tonight. We'll make it happen. It'll be awesome. Because I cannot resist a good co-ed or extracurricular sporting event, right? Get to show off my speed a little bit, considering I hadn't completely shaken off all of the athleticism or lost the athleticism of my playing days. So I was still pretty quick. I'll say that. I was still fast, still athletic, still a playmaker. And so went out there, and my husband was on the team, very nonchalant, introduced himself. We ended up playing the game. He knocked a home run out of the park, which was pretty cool. I am a switch hitter, so I can hit both righty and lefty. And so he thought that was pretty impressive. As we're walking out of the game, we ended up winning the game. As we're walking out of the game, I'm talking to one of my friends about not being able to find a church in Dodge City. And she's like, yeah, there's not a whole lot of options, but, you'll find something. I'm like, okay. Well, I keep walking back to my car, and here comes Brad, my husband, out of nowhere. And he said, hey, I couldn't help it overhearing your conversation. I just have this great church, and I go to it every weekend. And if you want to come, great. If not, that's fine too. But I just wanted to put it out there that I think you would really like this church, and I'm open to inviting people. And I was like, okay, I think that sounds great. Here's my number, and also I'm looking for people to go and play football with because I just don't have any friends, and I need to be able to toss a football around or I'm going to go crazy. And he said, oh yeah, we can definitely make that happen. And one of the running jokes is that one of the first times that he and some of his friends, we all went out to play football, was that, I said I wouldn't date anyone who couldn't throw football farther than me. And so, of course, we all had to line up and see who could throw the ball the farthest. Fortunately for him, he was the only one who could throw the football farther than me. So then I agreed to go on a date with him.
That is fantastic. Did either one of you sandbag or in any way, shape, or form?
Nope. Okay. Nope, absolutely not. I tell him that I am faster than him in the first 5 yards of a race, and he will not give that to me to save my life. He might be able to beat me in a 40, but those first 5 yards, I got him. That our family is so incredibly competitive, and we now have a 1.5-year-old, and bless her heart, there is no sandbagging with her either. If she wants to shoot a basket in our house, we got a little Tykes basket set up. No, she's got to beat us in order to actually make that basket. And, that might be a little bit inhumane, but we are going to make her the best possible athlete possible because that's how we interact with each other, too. We're very competitive. At the end of the day.
More of Dani's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this. Hey Kansas City, Joe Spiker, Easton Roofing back for another beautiful springtime in Kansas City. We are proud to announce our renewed partnership with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Kansas City. Starting in 2024, a portion of every job sold will be donated to a cause close to my heart. I was a big, and I encourage you to volunteer. And if you hire us for service on your residential or commercial roof, you'll know that a portion of the profits will go to a great cause. So call us at 913-257-5426. Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
Always great to catch up with Dr. Brad Whittle of Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. Everybody wants to make every year a great one, mentally and physically, and certainly ASFCA can help in that regard.
Chiropractic, acupuncture, physiotherapies. We're going to address the body and the mind to keep you in great shape. With winter moving into spring, we don't want to have the opportunity to get hurt or to be slow and not do what we used to do, right?
Absolutely right, and you can do that in a variety of ways.
We can. We love looking at the body and how it moves, looking at the posture and how it holds us to be strong, to be safe, and really to help us do those things we love to do.
The wide variety and range of services you can get helps in that regard at Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. 7 locations all around the Kansas City area. Find the one that's most convenient for you. And for more information, visit asfca.com/Danny. That's asfca.com/Danny. We're here at the 23rd Street Brewery with Matt Llewellyn. And Matt, you've got a great menu. You fine-tuned it a little bit. Great beers. There's always something to be had to put a smile on your face at the 23rd Street Brewery.
Oh, you bet. And Brian Haney would always say, come have the Haney turkey stack. Bill Self would say, come have the Bill Self pasta. I would say, come have the Bill Self pasta. It's great. Great mac and cheese, buffalo mac and cheese, and we've got a ton of other menu items that you're sure to love. We've got a great brewer who's brewing great beer, and if you like craft beer, our guy's the way to go. And we're making great drinks, too. There's a great new distillery in the state of Kansas called Llewellyn Distillery. My brother's doing that. He makes some great whiskey and vodka and rum, and we're doing all kinds of great drinks with those beverages.
Always fun to be had at the 23rd Street Brewery, 23rd and Castle. Come on by anytime and have a good time.
If you'd like to join these and other fine sponsors and market your business on Kansas City's #1 rated podcast, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkscale.com. Look forward to working with you.
Our guest is Dani Welniak. She is now the Executive Director of Communications for the KC Current. That just happened this week, so we taped this a little bit earlier in the week. And well, let's move on now. Dodge City was not going to be for long. You moved on to Wichita.
Yeah, I spent 2 years out in Dodge City, and then by the grace of the good Lord, our sports director in Wichita, who had been there for almost 3 decades, decided to move on to bigger and better things. So there was a third position open, and I had really talked to a lot of people about it and wasn't sure that I would get the job as the third sports person there. And thank goodness I did, because my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, had a bunch of discussions about, okay, what's the next step? What are we going to do? How is this going to work? And what is the right decision for us? You know, do we make this jump? Do you follow me? Do I follow you? What's next? So I remember so vividly, it was on Valentine's Day that I got the phone call about getting the job offer into Wichita. And both of us just got so excited and we're just jumping for joy, because I had other job opportunities across the country, and we were going to have to split up if that was going to be the case. Wichita was the only option for us to stay together. And sure enough, it ended up working out. And I went into Wichita, and I don't know about this, Danny, but I think there might be some good aura about me, because the minute I went into Wichita, the Shockers went to the Final Four and were incredibly successful the entire time that I was there. I'm not tooting my own horn, but it just seems like the places I go, success tends to follow, as made evident by, I don't know. Then we covered a Royals World Series towards the end of my time in Wichita. I got up here to Kansas City, covered a Super Bowl, 2 Super Bowls for the Chiefs. KU won a national championship recently. I'm not saying that I'm a part of it, but I might be saying that maybe something may have to do with that. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. But Wichita was a really good experience because it really allowed me to spread my wings. I learned a lot about myself, about being a journalist, about being a sports broadcaster. I got a lot of opportunities to really work with some really talented people. But then also, I tell people that I learned a lot about the TV industry from like an appearance standpoint, because that was really where they went to work, was where I learned how to really curl my hair and learned how to put on my makeup and really learned how to dress for television. Because out in Dodge City, a lot of the stuff I did was look live, and so you really only saw, from the waist up when you're shooting stand-up, and so didn't really have to think about appearance and that kind of stuff from like a high-definition camera anchoring perspective. So I learned a lot about that and kind of the double standard for women in this industry, as well as the next level appearance that you have to keep up whenever you're a television anchor. And so it gave me a whole new perspective on that world. It's a lot more work than I think a lot of people realize. And so it really, really set me up for success to be able to come up here to Kansas City and eventually take over as sports director up here.
Have you felt during your time in Wichita and then on, and maybe even in Dodge City, but as you said, that was more sort of an opening out in the field type of stuff. But you did so much reporting in locker rooms and clubhouses and things like that. Did you? And I'm sure you'll poo-poo with this, but obviously you got a job without having any audio on your DVD. So clearly the attractiveness part is there. Did you ever feel like you had to prove to people that, hey, I have an athletic background. I'm an athlete. I know what it's like to be an athlete. Did you carry any kind of a chip on your shoulder in that regard?
Every single day. I do think that it's something that you should encourage, both in men and women, that you need to have a little bit of a chip, because there are a lot of people in this world that are out there simply to cut you down. And to be able to be someone who can lift other people up and be a light sometimes in dark places, I think is really important. And it's something that I find as one of my callings in life, and one of the things that I believe the good Lord led me to do on my life journey. And so there are a lot of times where I have ran into people who didn't think I could do it, who didn't want me there, who thought that I was threatening, and more so from the people in my own industry rather than the people that I interacted with. I have had phenomenal interactions with a lot of the players and coaches, and even in my goodbye, I mentioned that I wanted to give a shout out to equipment crews and the grounds crew staff, and even the people behind the scenes at a lot of these organizations that really set me up for success and helped me accomplish the stories that I wanted to tell, or got to know me as a person rather than just seeing me as another, woman walking into a locker room. And to get that respect, it takes work. You got to walk into those locker rooms acting like you deserve to be there. And so I think that's kind of the toughest part, is that you have to, as you know, you have to own the microphone, and you have to own the camera, and you have to own your atmosphere. And that is so very important to being successful in this industry, is that you have to go in and you have to know that you're going to be a force and that you deserve to be there. And so I think that I definitely had a bonus benefit from the fact that I have this giant Super Bowl ring that I get to wear around, because we won the championship in 2008 with the Dallas Diamonds. And I joke that the first time I had a conversation with Chris Jones in the Chiefs locker room, he was brand new, I was brand new, and I was talking to him about, defensive schemes and kind of what he wanted to bring to the team and all that good stuff. And when we got done, I shook his hand, and he flipped my hand over, and he said, "What in the world is that on your hand?" And I said, "Oh, it's my Super Bowl ring. One day you guys will get one of these." And he said, "Oh yeah, we definitely will." And sure enough, here we are 6.5 years later, and he's got one of his own Super Bowl rings. But I think being able to go in and talk to those guys, talk to football players, even talk to a lot of the Royals and even sporting players, were really important, and I think that definitely helped me out.
Well, so the time in Wichita was a learning experience, and as you said, a lot of winning teams and success to cover as well. Tell about the move to Kansas City. How did that come about?
So it's kind of a crazy story because my husband had just gotten a promotion, and I thought that we were going to be